The crash that could change all generations could be coming. Now, we're happy that Trump is president. We're actually happy that there's change coming. But there's a lot of things that has happened the last few years that is causing problems for the market. Today we're going to discuss holding your cash and also buying things that matter with your cash. Talk about some of the severities of some of the other options in the markets and why is it a risk right now? Now, right now, if you look at the market, it actually looks positive for the most part. Some of the people are getting great earnings, but there's something to think about. Also, we're going to talk about how Walmart is handling this. We talked about this the other day about their thought pattern, how some people they're seeing shopping in their stores are not their typical shoppers, and they're kind of worried about the holiday season. Our cash is our only freedom. Our savings is our only freedom. Our independence comes from us being able to be sustainable. So we're going to discuss all that today. Also, we're going to discuss what Biden has done and what he is planning to do for the next 50 some odd days before Trump takes office. And this kind of goes along with the fact of how safe is our money. Let's dive into talking about cash today, talking about money, talking about the environment that we have put ourselves in, and actually not us, this administration. And can Trump turn it around? And if he turns it around, will it be because of a correction, a crash? And if so, what are we supposed to do? Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. I know that was a crazy intro, and it seems like everything is going great in the world when it comes to the stock market. Everybody's making money. I mean, and we're in better straits. We've got Trump, appointing good people, and we see that there's going to be a future looks bright. 2025 is going to be great. I hope all that's right. But there's some signs, some telltale signs that we need to pay attention to when it comes to the market and also the severity of some of the issues that are taking place. Now, we have already discussed billionaires pulling out of the market. We see Bezos sold a lot of his Amazon shares. We see that Warren Buffett is sitting on a $325 billion cash arrangement where he has pulled out of the market and sold a lot of his shares in a lot of things. So that's a sign, and that's something that we need to think about, because if billionaires are holding onto their cash, they become billionaires for a reason, and I think we could learn from them. But that's just one element. Let's talk about some other elements. Before we talk about our money, let's talk about what Biden is doing, because really this is all pertaining to how bad this economy has been and how it's not getting any better, even with the new administration coming in, because of the problems that we face. You know how you have a debt problem. Say, for instance, you've dug a hole in the ground. Well, slowly and surely you're going to start filling that back up with shovel loads. But if you're still digging the hole out while you're putting the shovel loads back in, it never really comes to fill in the hole, does it? Well, that's exactly what we've done in our economy. Let's talk about what Biden just said and what he is doing, and then let's move on to the cash. This came from a Reuters report, and it was shared by Mario Nafal. It says, Biden administration says, let's spend it all now, no matter what. That is the policies that they've embraced. I want you to listen to this little snippet from this article, and you tell me how our money is sound if all of a sudden this is what's happening. Let's go through it. Billions are being rushed out the door of the Biden administration scrambles to commit funds before the transition, meaning they're trying to give money and grant money and take your tax dollars and frivolously spend it on what they want to spend it on before this new transition comes in. The Pentagon is rushing a $7.1 billion military aid package to Ukraine. Now, Trump's already said he would not do this, so they're trying to get this 7.1 in there. Now, this is not the 7.1 billion. This is not tied to the 24 billion that just came out yesterday that Ukraine is getting from the U.S. because Biden is sending it over there. Now, you know what? This is why I fault Congress, because they can hold all this up and they choose not to. This is why it's so important to get better leadership all across the board. But I digress. $7.1 billion in military aid to Ukraine, not counting the $24 billion yesterday. The Energy Department is finalizing, listen to this, $25 billion in clean energy initiatives and fearing that there will be cuts under Trump. So now they're trying to spend all this money on all this clean energy and this climate situation, all in the name of, well, we got to get this money and spent so that way Trump can't take it back. They're frivolously spending your tax dollars. Again, what would I say if I said, okay, I have no money, but I want to buy everybody's Christmas. So I'm going to take a credit card, max it out, and if I run out of money on the credit card, which is not real money, I'm going to buy 2 more credit cards and get them sent to me, and I'm going to max those out, and hopefully I can pay those back. It's kind of stupid, isn't it? It's a stupid move, and that's exactly what our economy is doing. That's what we're doing in America right now. Let's keep on going with this list. The Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, is racing to commit $50 billion to the CHIPS Act fund before Trump takes office. This is her quote: "I would like to have really almost all the money obligated by the time we leave." Meaning, again, putting it somewhere so that way Trump can't touch it. Again, this is your tax dollars now. No one calls for this, but they're taking $50 billion to put in the CHIPS Act so Trump cannot remove it back and try to have good responsibility with money. The frantic spending spree raises major red flags. Listen to this. Deals worth billions are being pushed through with no time to proper oversight, risking waste, inefficiency, and long-term consequences. What they're doing, there's problems and they're throwing money at it just so Trump cannot take it back. All right, so far we've discussed over $100 billion for agencies. There's 420-something agencies in the federal government. So say these agencies are all doing this. $100 billion turns into what? $500 billion? $800 billion? We're not talking about the money that was illegally audited that did not get spent correctly, like from the Pentagon, the Department of Education, and the Postal Service. But no, we're talking about more money that is frivolously thrown at stuff that does not matter. This is why we're going to face economic chaos. It was a desperate move to force the Biden policies on the next administration, locking Trump out of evaluating and redirecting these funds. Is this governance in transition, or is this sabotage? Listen to this now. If they can destroy the economy before Trump takes office and then take all this money and hundreds of billions of dollars and frivolously lock it in because our government is in a bad way corrupt, are they sabotaging his presidency? The coordinated rush to spend these serious ethical concerns, the coordination of spending all this money and rushing it is an ethical concern and should be ostracized and looked upon as a bad move by the Democratic establishment. Now, again, you have no people in Congress actually holding this up and stopping a lot of this. Did you see last week 2 new lifetime appointment judges, completely liberal, getting appointed because Ted Cruz and Mike Braun wasn't there for the vote? So they're still pushing through judges, all because our Republican leadership is fallen and worthless when it comes to holding their feet to the fire. So this is why I say we're going to put ourselves in a bad situation, because we just in this report, this simple report of 5 or 6 agencies, we are over hundreds of billions of dollars of spending, not including the $24 billion that I mentioned earlier that was going to Ukraine in another aid package. Now, 2 more stories, and then we're going to talk about our money. MicroStrategies. Now, I don't know if you know anything about MicroStrategies. This is one of the biggest Bitcoin holder. Actually, they just borrowed billions of dollars. I think it's like $6 billion to buy more Bitcoin. This is Michael Saylor. If you know Michael Saylor, do some research. He's the one pushing Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has been skyrocketing because Trump is considered a crypto president. He's put in people like Ludnick, which they believe will help the crypto movement. But remember, it's just speculation. So you're seeing all these people buy into Bitcoin, but what they're doing is they're borrowing money to buy into Bitcoin. So we're putting more fiat currency into the market to buy something that is speculative, that is a digitized asset. And to be honest with you, we're highly leveraging the value of what really Bitcoin actually is, which no one really knows, is a fake digitized currency. May bring value to you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying think about what you're buying. You're not buying a tangible asset. You're not buying a coin itself, a physical coin. Guess what happened? Bitcoin started, of course, going down. Now, there's a billionaire that is highly invested, and he came on to CNBC the other day, and he said, I do believe Bitcoin will go to 100,000, and I do believe it will go up past that. However, I believe it's so highly levered that we will see a correction in the Bitcoin market like we typically see in the markets, period. Well, if you notice, it went from like 96, 97, 98, 99, and now it's back down to about 92, 93,000. Still a lot of money. But listen to what happened to MicroStrategies. Now, MicroStrategies is a Bitcoin investor. The point of buying their stock is you're buying into Bitcoin in a way of volatility or less volatility. That is the whole purpose and brand of Michael Saylor. It says MicroStrategy stock just fell a whopping 35% at its peak in November 21st. That's $30 billion of market cap erased in just 4 days because Bitcoin fell 9%. This is one of the largest 4-day drops in ever when it comes to history of MicroStrategies. Now, next article. The Russian ruble has collapsed to where it is falling hard. The dollar was going up, and now it's starting to subside and slow. The gold was skyrocketing last year, and then when Trump became president, it kind of subsided, and now it's been hovering still at a good profit, but nowhere near what it once was. And what does all that mean? What that means is we may be setting up for one of the biggest market crashes of all time. Now, don't come in here and say, Colby, you're just fear-mongering. That's all false news. I mean, look at NVIDIA, look at Walmart. Their stocks are going crazy up. What you're seeing is what they call a reverse market crash, a melt-up. Do some research on it. You're going to see the biggest seven, the Magnificent Seven, the S&P, and you're going to see a lot of these big companies do phenomenally well. Not all of them. I mean, look at Target. It had one of the biggest losses where, again, lost billions in the last few weeks. But for the most part, you're going to see companies get filthy rich, and while most of the other companies are going to start falling. So it's going to give you a false sense that this market is doing phenomenally well. Another thing, when the spending stops, now I want you to listen to me very closely. If Trump and Doge, Vivek and Elon, if they stop spending money like Biden and Harris has been spending money, I want you to understand this, and I'm for stop spending money. Please understand what I'm saying. If they stop flooding the market full of false money and fiat currency and holding the market up with all the government spending in the public sector growing, if they stop doing that, which is very smart, very responsible to stop doing because we're at a deficit, it will cause a chaos in the market. If our government is not spending tons of money on a war, which Trump is saying he's going to stop, if they're not putting fake money into the market, which he's saying that we're going to get more responsible with, like Doge, those two things will cause for a correction. Now, that's a correction I think we need. I think what we've done so long is we've been actually in a full recession, but no one wants to admit to it. The Fed is false, and they're not wanting to admit to it. They want to keep buying treasury stocks and treasury bonds and printing tons of money into the economy, trying to lower basis points to help Biden win. But ultimately, what we're seeing is this false ground, this false narrative of a good economy may fall out right below us. I think of it as I'm walking a tightrope. Now, while I'm on that tightrope, it doesn't matter if the ground is 5 foot under me or 200 foot under me. I haven't fell off the tightrope yet. The tightrope is suspending me and keeping me safe. But if I slip off that tightrope, bad economy could be 5 to 10 foot. That fall may hurt me, but it won't kill me. However, if that tightrope is over a cliff and we have 200, 500, 1,000 foot under me, and then I fall, that's a whole different scenario. Well, I think what we've been doing is we've been walking that tightrope and leaving the ground higher and higher because of all the spending we're doing. The frivolous spending I just talked about with hundreds of billions of dollars that Biden is trying to sink into public sectors to keep it from Trump. Remember, if that wasn't spent, how is that money going to get to the economy? It shouldn't have never got there. But that is the false sense of money because we're putting hundreds of billions of dollars from the government into the sectors, into the co-ops, into the market, and it's giving a false sense of economy being strong. I've heard nothing but Democrats saying, oh, I mean, look at Biden. He's making the groceries go down. Turkey is way cheaper. Gas is starting to go down. The economy is actually good. He's going to hand a great economy to Trump. And then what's going to happen is all this falseness is going to go away. And all of a sudden, Trump is going to look like he's the one over the economy that watches it get destroyed. It's all false. So what should we be doing? Hold on to your cash. Please hold on to your cash. Now, I know cash will not always be king, but as of right now, it is king. The BRICS currency is not even, it's a sham. It's coming up, but they're looking again at crypto-style versions, digitized coins. You see that Bitcoin is starting to fall. You see the fact that all these problems are happening with the ruble, with the stock market. The fact that even cryptos are not as strong as they once were. Now, I do believe in gold, but again, the difference in gold and crypto, when people are like, oh, I'd buy crypto, it's the new gold. No, it's not, because gold is tangible. It is something that has been around since biblical days. The front of time, where gold and silver was valuable. Don't let them sell you the fact that speculative currencies or speculative money is the way to go in the future. Digitized currency. It's not. It could be used, but it cannot be the source of main value like gold or silver. So yes, hold cash. Hold cash. Hold on to as much as you can. Right now, the market is reeling from a bad mortgage economy. We're upside down when it comes to real estate, even in the market now. Again, we've tried to hide it, but we're 3 times leveraged from what we were in 2008 when the market fell out because of the housing market. You know what else? There's not enough houses being built, and there's not enough houses on the market because the interest rate's high. So guess what? It's made the houses that are on the market extremely expensive. Well, what's happening? A lot of people like BlackRock, a lot of people like some of these private equity firms are going into these markets and buying a lot of real estate. Now you say, well, they're not buying everything. They're not buying the majority. If they're buying 20 or 30% in cities, that's making the price go up dramatically, because what they're doing is paying 150 to 200% over value. You, as the person who's wanting to buy a family home, can't afford it. So what are you going to have to do? Rent. Rent is starting to skyrocket once again. All this is a chain reaction because of bad spending. So we just talked about holding cash. Holding cash because you need to learn how to save and get on a budget. So if you hold cash, you can't hold cash until you learn how to get on a budget and cut up the credit cards. Quit spending money you don't have. You've got to cut up the credit cards. You have to get out of debt. Now, is debt always the worst thing ever? Again, cautiously saying debt can be good in some forms and fashions if you know how to utilize it. But for the majority of Americans, debt is horrible. Do not put yourself in debt. Right now, again, frivolously spending. A legal immigrant who comes here seeking asylum or through the CB1 program, which is the app program, the CBP1 app, that Trump is wanting to stop. The average person coming over is getting $3,400 a month. The average Social Security check is $1,200 a month. Does that make sense to you? When the people who are getting Social Security has paid into a system that's been broken, but at least they've paid into a system, unlike the immigrants that are coming over that we're just handing money to. Again, frivolously spending. That frivolously spending is putting us on the tightrope that we may fall off of. So first, cash. Let's go back. Second, get out of debt. Get away from the credit cards. Third, keep your money in sovereign, safe banks. I would challenge you to get them out of the big national banks, the Regions, the Chase, the Wells Fargo. Now, none of those are bad. The Bank of America. None of those are horrible. But I want to be able to access my money at someone that I trust, at a bank down the road where I can get it. I want to have highly accessible ways to get that. I'd make sure I had a debit card to that account. Don't talk about credit cards. Let's just get a debit card that I can access my bank account even when I can't do it with a check. Now, I would make sure that I had as much cash as even 3 to 6 months worth of expenses out. Because if all of a sudden things start happening and crisis takes place, how safe is your bank? You don't know. So make sure that you're trying to find a local bank that is in good shape. Stay away from big regional state banks and stay away from the large national banks. Go to the small mom and pops and try to see and make sure they're in sound money. Most of them are public enough to tell you how sound they are and who backs them and make sure they're okay. So we've talked, of course, so we've got cash, we're getting on a budget, we're cutting up our credit cards, we're also keeping our money local. Now, Here's the biggest: tangible assets. I purchase things like old automobiles. I purchase things like food. I purchase things like cows, livestock. I purchase things like garden goods, seeds. I purchase things that are tangible to me. If things are tangible, what does that mean? That means it brings value to me. Have you thought about buying medicine? Have you thought about buying herbs? I'm just going to do some more prepping videos coming up in the next few days about what herbs are the best when you can't afford medicine. What foods are the best when you can't seem to get enough food. What is some of the best foods that's going to give you optimal health? We're going to be talking about those. But right now we're talking about tangible goods. If the market is volatile, why do I want to put my money in a market account that I can't get to? Or why would I want to put them in Bitcoin or crypto if I can't access that? Especially if this is all the money I've got. So make sure that you're doing all you can to hold the cash, get on a budget, make sure that you're cutting the credit cards up, and you're holding tangible goods. Things that bring value: food, water, necessities, medicines, automobiles, petroleum, energy, solar generators, gas generators. Now that's a lot thrown at you, but all those things bring value to you and your home for safety. Also, when it comes to your cash, you need to know how to spend your cash. So part of being on a budget is understanding how to make meal plans, how to be smart by not going out to eat all the time, not going to get a Starbucks coffee or a frou-frou coffee, as my wife calls them, in town. Sometimes it's like, okay, I need to not only be on a budget, I need to understand how to cut my spending. Because if Trump starts cutting spending, I think we're going to see the holes in our economy. And I think it's going to expose how bad the economy actually is. Now, would I blame that on Trump? No, I actually blame it on the last probably 50 years of bad policy when it comes to money. But you know how most times government fixes this? And this is why you need to pay attention to why they hate Doge, Elon Musk, Vivek, Trump, and even someone like Pete Hegseth, why they hate them so much. Because they know the only way to get out of bad financial binds is to keep printing money, keep funneling money to wars, and keep providing chaos across the world, because that makes America look stronger when it comes to the one selling this armory to this person, selling this artillery to this person, putting this stuff over here. We can't make money that way anymore. It's time to bring value back home. Now, a few more things. Trump's talked about cutting taxes. He needs to. He needs to keep threatening tariffs. Just yesterday, I told you about the 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada. Both their leaderships, Trudeau and the crazy lady in Mexico, both came back and said, after the threat, now they're turning around saying, you know what? Okay, we'll work with Trump. You see how that worked? He don't have to be in office. He doesn't have to actually put tariffs in yet. He's just saying, you fix this or tariffs will come. And both of them now said they're willing to negotiate. That's how we get back to sound money. But don't believe we're not going to go through some kind of market crisis before then. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we go through smooth sailing. But as Walmart said, as some of these other big box stores say, we're seeing the clientele who struggled to make it not be able to make it anymore. And we see the clientele who typically didn't shop with us, the higher income earners, now having to shop with us. We're seeing more people having to use credit cards than they're using cash. We're seeing more people not be able to spend money on the things that they need the most, food and the necessities. So now during Christmas time, what happens is we get more credit cards, we get more debt, we want to buy stuff, and really we can't afford it. Just like we can't afford all this spending that Biden just put in. So, wrapping it up. If this market crashes, or if it doesn't, these are still good things to do. Hold cash. Get on a written budget. Understand that you need to cut your credit cards up. You need to make sure that you meal plan. You stay away from the high spending when it comes to town food. And you need to have tangible goods. Food, water, necessities like medicine, energy, if that be propane, if that be solar generators. Understand you need to bring value to yourself by having tangible assets. If your car needs fixing, fix it, because that's going to bring value to you. Right now, I'm investing money in 2 older vehicles, because I believe that if we see a warhead hit and it causes EMP, I want to have these old vehicles that are so mechanical that there's nothing electronic on it that can be stopped. We're going to show you those 2 vehicles coming up in the next few days. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't believe that everything is going to work out perfect in the next weeks and months. I believe we're going to see some problems happen, not because of what Trump is doing, but because he's going to expose some of the holes in our economy that they've been that they've been covering for so long. Be careful with putting things in the market right now. Be careful with putting things in crypto right now. That's just my personal opinion. I want to put my money in things that bring value. Holding cash, my health, my goods, tangible goods, and making sure I'm on a budget and I'm cutting up the cards. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this. I don't believe this is takes brilliant rocket scientists to. I don't believe this is rocket science. I don't believe this is some just major epiphany. I'm telling you something that your grandma probably would have told you. And sometimes we just need reminding of that. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.
Oh, come on and let's go.